Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Eugene City Council meeting for March 8th. Welcome everyone here and everyone at home. First thing I want to say to you all is we have a rule here about signs. So if you just I love them, but lower them, okay? Put your signs down, please. We're not supposed to have them in here. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And the reason for that is somebody might come on another occasion with signs that you don't want to see. So this is just a general rule. All right. And then the first item that we have is a public forum. And we have 23 people signed up and more coming. So I am going to ask you, please, be as brief, or if you don't need to get up, just say, yes, I agree with that person. So just make it as, I know you're passionate about this, care deeply about it, and I don't want to take away your voice. I'm going to ask you, please, to make it as succinctly as you can. So let us begin. The public forum is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues except for those items which have already been heard by a hearings official or are on tonight's agenda as a public hearing. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known. The timer and lights indicate the time you have to speak. A yellow light will come on when you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. The red light indicates the end of 3 minutes. Councilor Poling?
I move to amend the agenda to move the public forum to the end of the meeting. And if I get a second, I'll speak to it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded.
The reason why I'm requesting that is not that we don't want to hear from people. We do, in fact, want to hear from people, but we have 4 action items that directly affect local ordinances and properties, as well as a resolution endorsing the ocean marine reserves, as well as the DREAM Act on the consent calendar. With the number of people signed up to speak, and there's a rule that we have in place that if we do not start an item by 10 p.m. that the council meeting ends. I think that it's important that we take action on the 4 items as well as the consent calendar, and then open the floor back up to the public forum.
Councilor Zelinka.
Well, I'm not going to support that because I think some of these people want to speak to, and I know some of them in particular want to speak to some of these items that we would be voting on before they got a chance to speak. So I'd like to hear what they have to say and then vote on it.
Okay. Will you please vote? So we have 2 in favor and 6 in opposition, so it goes down, and we're back to the forum. And the first person up is Diego Hernandez, followed by Mary Gent.
Hello all. My name is Diego Hernandez. I'm a senior at the University of Oregon, majoring in ethnic studies and political science. I'm part of the United States Student Association. I sit on their board as a first-generation student. And I'm also part of the student government at the University of Oregon and MECHA, Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Slan, which is a Chicano student union at the University of Oregon. And so we are all here in solidarity to support the DREAM Act. And we also know that we're not supposed to clap. We're supposed to be respectful.
Thank you.
And keep everything really brief. So I ask the folks who are supporting the DREAM Act to not repeat what other folks have said, but if they're just going to support it, so we can move on with the agenda. Also, I would like to ask the folks behind me, if you support the DREAM Act, if you could please stand. There are a lot of us here.
Down signs. No signs, please.
No signs. Sorry about the signs. On the week of February 22nd and through the 27th, it was the DREAM Act Week of Action. And all over the country, universities, high schools, communities took action. And actually, there were 4 young immigrants who started walking 1,500 miles from Miami to Washington, D.C. for the DREAM Act. And all the way from Arkansas to Massachusetts and many other states, there were over 70 actions nationally during that week. This is just one of those. This is a grassroots movement, and we're trying to send a message to the federal government saying that this is a priority, and we need to have this legislation for our communities. And especially, I think it's going to take courage, right, to get this legislation pass it, because there's so much animosity and so much confusion over the legislation. And I think for the folks who are in power, it's going to take a lot of courage and humility. And I hope that you get to see the real stories and the students who are really affected by this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mary Ginn, followed by Juan Carlos Valle.
My name is Mary Gent, and I live on Flora Hill Drive in Councilor Zelinka's ward. And I'm here to ask for your support of the Resolution 5002, endorsing a network of the marine reserves.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Including the Heceta Head and Cape Perpetua area. So simply stated, I love the Oregon coast, and in particular that stretch of coastline from Heceta Head up to Cape Perpetua, where old-growth forest trails drop down into the Pacific Ocean. This is a rugged coastline. It's simply beautiful, and I think it's dear to the hearts of all Oregonians, including those who live here in the valley. And I think we all have a vested interest in the ocean health and sustainability. So a couple of years ago, I traveled down the coast of California looking at some schools with my son, and he didn't go there, which is good. But I was very impressed by the marine reserve system in California. And it caught my attention that why is Oregon lagging behind in this area? Both California and Washington have marine reserves, and Oregon seems to be dragging its feet. So, especially, given our history of environmental stewardship and public access to public beaches. So I'm very gratified now that the state is beginning to address this, but I do feel that having two isolated sites is not good enough, and that we indeed need a network of reserves where good science can occur. Also, since 2002, my husband and I bought some vacation beach property, and we are in the Yachats area. And a couple observations. One is that people come to the Central Oregon coast from all over the United States. They fly into Eugene, they rent cars in Eugene, and they travel through the wine country to get to the Oregon coast. And I think that marine reserves is a very added attraction, and is something that we as a county could, with other counties, could continue to develop and market. Marine reserves, tell a visitor, go see it, go look at it. So that's one observation I have. The second is that since I've now been going out to the coast monthly, the coast is changing, and there is this dead zone that kind of waxes and wanes. And when it's more prominent, we don't understand what's causing it, but there have been crabs that wash up dead, seabirds that wash up dead, and we certainly have the declining fish populations. So I just feel that we need to have better science to understand the habitat where female fish can get big and have lots of eggs and produce lots of fish. So I think that we just simply need more sound research and science to ensure ocean health sustainability. So I believe with careful planning, it's at the end of my time, please adopt Resolution 5002. It's in the best interest of all Oregonians. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Juan Carlos Valle, followed by Drix.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the opportunity to speak. Councilors, good evening. My name is Juan Carlos Valle. Live in North Eugene, 97404. I'm a board president for Centro Latinoamericano, vice chair for the Police Commission, and active member of the United Coalition of Color. Tonight, however, I speak as an individual. I'm here to support the DREAM Act resolution. Tonight is our community's long-awaited writing of history, and I hope that you will become part of it. Councilors, our children face many challenges. Those challenges include accountability and the expectations we have of them. And most important, expectations of being proud of them. We continuously ask our youth to be mindful of their actions, to be cognizant of the kind of world they want to leave behind, and we ask them to give back to our community. We also ask them to lend back their talent to our community. But they will not have the opportunity to demonstrate, to do any of that, unless you act on that tonight. I ask that you and your voice is heard loud and clear. I hope that you choose to join different states such as Texas, California, Utah, Washington, New York, Oklahoma, Illinois, Kansas, New Mexico, and Nebraska in saying yes to our children. By saying yes to our children, they will be accountable, I promise you. They will contribute to our society. I will help with that. And they will make my world and your world proud, a proud world. Council members, we the community look up to you continuously to take actions such as tonight in supporting the resolution, the DREAM Act resolution. I urge you simply to support without hesitation the DREAM Act because it's also their dream. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Drix, followed by Cynthia Kokis.
And now for something completely different. My name is Drix. I live on High Street. I live in an attic over High Street, so I'm high over high. I'm here tonight to celebrate something and to connect some dots. I'd like to celebrate that I had a personal goal for a while, and I achieved it a few weeks ago. I have become a verb. It's not much of a goal unless you set it as a goal, and then you chase it, and darn if I didn't find it. I've been pretty much myself my whole life. I've been studying me very closely because I am close to the source. And I've always been like this. I've been like this in school, in high school, and now I adopt my city as my class and my community. And I think what I do is I connect the dots. I can get diverse people and connect them. I can get other things and connect them. And pretty much what I do coming here is connect people. And being connected is what makes a community. So that's how I serve my part of this. That being said, I'd like to say last week we had some sufficient rains here, and I noticed we were having several worm parades. It's something you probably never heard of either, but when it gets very wet, the worms can't seem to breathe, and they climb up and they start crossing sidewalks and streets, and we all see them, and I stop, and the ones in front of me kind of throw back in the lawn. But if you stop and realize that a worm can't see and can't hear, it makes it even more different, because there they are. What are they going to do but just look for a drier spot? That being said, I'll move on to another point. I'm not good at this. I just learned I was a verb 2 weeks ago, so bear with me here. I'd like to say a bit of trivia I found out about our wonderful city of Eugene, and I'm very proud of it, is that we are the #1 city in the entire state of Oregon for the blind. And you go, huh? What does that mean? Well, I'm not sure either, but I'm very proud of it. And they can't see our mountains, they can't see our rivers, they can't really see anything that we all hold for granted that makes us wonderful, yet they love us. And if you start to look why, well, not look why, wrong verb here, but I think it's our consciousness for detail and our street corners with the bumps so you can tell where you are, our talking street lights. I mean, we account for everybody in Eugene, and it's what makes us special. And those are my dots connected, and thank you very much. And it's nice to be part of a full house, I will say that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Cynthia Kokis, followed by Alexandra Harper.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Kokis. I live in Eugene, and tonight I'm speaking for the Board of Women's Action for Oregon Women's Action for New Directions WAND. We urge the Eugene City Council to pass a resolution in support of the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act. Oregon WAND endorses this request from the Eugene Human Rights Commission. Action is important and will mean that Eugene joins other cities as we move towards state and federal legislation that is just and fair. Youth depend on our support. If we mean that no child is left behind, we must act in support and enable these students to continue their pursuit of education. I would be proud to be the grandmother of the children I see here. I have a 15-year-old granddaughter. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexandra Harper is next, followed by Chuck Willer.
Good evening. I'm Alex Harper. I live on Willamette Alley in Eugene. I'd like to thank the council for considering the resolution to support Oregon Marine Reserve processes and the Cape Perpetua Reserve site. I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, and surroundings that engender an appreciation for the ocean and for civic service. I recall my first visit to the Cape Perpetua area. It was just a year ago, in March, when I was visiting law schools in the state, and I was struck by a couple of things. I was struck by the amount of prime beachfront real estate that's gone undeveloped here in your state, which is something that you don't see in Florida. And I knew that this preserved coastline was not accomplished without a struggle, and I knew it was evidence of a unique land ethic that you have here in Oregon, one that I wanted to learn more about. A land ethic that's put into place, into motion through initiatives like the one before you tonight. I was also struck by the sheer enormity that is the Pacific Ocean from your view here on the coast. In fact, the Pacific Ocean alone covers about 59 million square miles of the Earth's surface, and that's just about 30% of the total surface area covered by the ocean. Everyone in this room, council members, everyone everywhere is connected to and dependent upon our ocean. The ocean drives climate and weather. It regulates temperature. It absorbs much of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and it constitutes 97% of the total water on our planet. And marine reserves and protected areas are proven tools that are used all over the world to protect our oceans. And the proposed site at Cape Perpetua includes a flexible marine protected area. That means it'll potentially allow for multiple uses, but there's also a smaller, fully protected marine reserve involved, which means there'll be no fishing or taking at all, and this is really vital to the health of our ocean here in Oregon and everywhere. This site is part of a network of marine protected areas. And given the enormity of the ocean, the argument goes that a singular or solitary protected area will do little for the actual health of our ocean. And what we need, and what the state of Oregon is offering, is a well-designed network of marine protected areas and reserves. We all have a stake in what happens to our ocean here in Oregon.
Thank you.
Hope you will support this measure. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next is Chuck Willer, followed by Jose Manuel Urbana.
Mayor, City Councilors, I'm Chuck Willer, the Executive Director of the Coast Range Association. We have a few members and supporters here in Eugene, and I'm speaking to the Resolution 5002 on marine reserves. I just became aware of Resolution 5001. I would support that, too. And regarding marine reserves, I'll be very brief and make a point that perhaps you won't hear here tonight. Well, 2 points. One, I used to live down by the Cape Perpetua area on Sea Rose Beach, and I know quite a few people from Eugene use that area for recreation, and I was very aware of that. But two, our organization goes back 20 years, Coast Range Association. We cut our chops, so to speak, in the forest wars. And I'd have to say that this current campaign for a reserve is much different than my experience with forest reserves, which are a win-lose. When you reserve a forest, there is going to be a group of people that do not get something that used to come from that forest. With reserves, it's not like that. And besides the main thrust of marine reserves being for biodiversity, there are spillover effects of larval and marine life that actually will benefit the fisheries. And our organization is very keen on this component to marine reserves, that everyone will win with the adoption of a well-connected network of marine reserves, and this is something all Oregonians should support. I know there's people that have fear about where this could lead, and there is some opposition. That is not the perspective that my organization takes, and I hope it won't be something you're concerned about. This is a win-win for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose Manuel Ibanez, followed by Carol Van Houten.
Good evening. Major Pierce, council members. My name is Jose Ibarra, and I'm the current chair for the Oregon Commission on Hispanic Affairs and chair for the United States Council on Latino Affairs. Well, I'm here to urge this city council to support the DREAM Act. One of the main issues of the Commission on Hispanic Affairs is the advancement of Latino youth through education. And in 1982, the U.S. Supreme Court stated, "It is difficult to understand precisely what the state hopes to achieve by promoting the creation and perpetuation of a subclass of illiterates within our boundaries, surely adding to the problems and costs of unemployment, welfare, and crime." On behalf of the Oregon Commission on Hispanic Affairs, I urge the Eugene City Council to adopt a resolution supporting the enactment of the DREAM Act, to give fuller meaning to the equal protection of the laws that the Constitution mandates, equal education opportunities that include all of the residents of the city of Eugene. We hope that your city provides vision and leadership on this important issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I apologize for slaughtering your name and many others tonight, probably. Sorry. Carol Van Houten is next, followed by Kimberly Glayton.
Good evening. I live in Eugene on West 10th Street. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Community Alliance of Lane County, known as CALC, and I'm here representing them, urging you to support the DREAM Act. CALC has long been an advocate for immigrant rights. We and many others here would wish that we were here tonight talking about comprehensive immigration reform. Nevertheless, the DREAM Act is a beautiful and very important action and step in that direction. It's not perfect. It doesn't include money for college. It implies that one could join the military for 2 years, and as folks know, when you join the military, it's an 8-year commitment. However, we are strongly supporting this act. We see that this is a way that for a very talented group of young people, and I'm sure some people will be testifying more in detail about this group of young people, but for them to come out of the shadows to contribute to Eugene with their talents, to contribute to our nation with their talents. CALC welcomes the opportunity for this group to come forward and be active and safe and full members of the community, and we hope that you will also welcome them by voting for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kimberly Glayton, followed by Jane Waite.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Glayton. I live downtown on West Broadway. I'm here tonight to talk to you about pretrial diversion programs. I was on the Downtown Safety Committee and talking to my mother on the phone. She lives in Minnesota, about some of our issues here. She happens to work for Project De Novo, Operation De Novo, and the diversion practice is how they handle property crimes in Minnesota, in Hennepin County, in the Minneapolis area. And it's done by getting people to pay restitution, people who are regretful that they made this mistake, it was a bad decision. It takes care of first-time offenders so that their records can be sealed at the end of the program. They get counseling, they get alcohol, drug treatment. They have to take responsibility for their lives through this. She felt it would be very inexpensive for us to get one started. It could be done with a director, caseworker, and 2 counselors, which could come from internships with the university through some of the psychology departments. I think a lot of other things, if we got together if some of the movers and shakers in town and some of the university movers and shakers got together, I'm sure they could work stuff out that would aid us in dealing with the property crime. Takes them out of the court system because it's pre-trial, so that saves us court money, saves us jail space, and get people back on the road to productive lives and having a real life and not continuing on a life of crime. Once that record follows you, it kind of moves it. They are a nonprofit. Project De Novo, or Operation De Novo, is a nonprofit, and they have been so successful over the years that they have added a drug and juvenile divisions. So she sends out this information. Her director got very excited about the idea of Eugene having something, so he printed out a bunch of stuff and sent his information, willing to answer questions. So if you guys aren't going to do this, I urge you to please get it in the hands of someone who can make this move and happen for our town. I think it's a win-win situation for everybody, and my mom's old. She's going to retire. She doesn't hear me say that, but she is going to retire soon, and who knows how long the director will be there. They're excited about helping us, so it's a good time to get started. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jane Waite, followed by, I don't know, this says Charles Biggs, but then it's got a big cross through it. Are you? All right. Thank you, Charles. All right, Guadalupe Quinn, Jane Waite, and then Guadalupe Quinn. Jane?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm here tonight on behalf of myself, speaking as myself, but I'd like to bring into the room the people that I contact daily in my work. In my work, I'm the Equity and Diversity Specialist for Lane ESD, encompasses all 16 districts here in Lane County. And I want to, just for a moment, bring into the room here the hundreds of kids in Lane County who are in this situation that the DREAM Act is meant to help. Fantastic students, fantastic children. They're out there. There's hundreds of them in Lane County right now, and I just for a moment want them to just imagine them here in this room. They're a tremendous force, and I urge you to vote in support of them, to stand up for Eugene as a community who would do that, because we know it's the right thing to do. I also speak as an Indigenous woman, and I'll invite you to imagine for a moment no borders. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Guadalupe Quinn, followed by Heido Castaneda.
Buenas tardes. My name is Guadalupe Quinn. I live in Eugene. I'm here tonight to add my voice to the other voices that you've heard. On behalf of Amigos Multicultural Services Center, I coordinate the Immigrant Rights Advocacy Program for the organization. And I'm here to ask you also to please support the resolution that supports the DREAM Act. As you've heard other speakers say, the DREAM Act is legislation that would help our youth to be able to continue their education. It is something that is very important, something that we have been struggling and working to achieve for many, many years. And so I hope that Eugene can be one of those cities that's listed on that long list of cities that are supporting the DREAM Act. And I want you to look at this room, and I know that it's filled. I know that it isn't often this full. But when I look behind me or I look at the folks that are here, I want you to imagine that in this room it isn't just a crowd of people. This room is filled with the future leaders of our community. This room has the future doctors, lawyers, teachers, council people, maybe even the future mayor of the city of Eugene. So please support our young people in putting Eugene on the map as one of those cities that supports the DREAM Act. And so I ask you to think about what it would mean to our community to have young people who are well prepared to continue running the city and to be part of this community, and the assets that they bring as young immigrant students that are bilingual, bicultural, and who care deeply about making this a good place for all of us to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Heido Castaneda. I know I've wrecked that continually, but welcome. Followed by Ron Burley.
Thank you, City Council and staff members as well. So I'm here with many of these
Can you
individuals.
introduce yourself first?
Yes, I apologize.
Say
Jairo
it right way.
Castañeda, and thank you for working on the name. I'm a resident here in Eugene. And so I'm here with many of these individuals here tonight in support of the DREAM Act resolution. I'm here as a student, as a member of Impact, as a student body senator, as a OSOC board member, Oregon Students of Color Coalition, and as a MECHA recruitment and retention director. I came to the United States as a non-documented individual. My parents brought me at a very young age. Through many hardships and trials, tribulations, privilege, and hard work, I was able to actually get my citizenship. Currently, I'm a fourth-year student studying psychology and ethnic studies. I was given the privilege to attend higher education. Over 65,000 students won't be able to do that. This Wednesday, with MECHA, with a lot of help from individuals at the University of Oregon, we're hosting our annual Raza Unida Youth Conference, and we're bringing over 300 students, Latino and Latina students from around the area, Springfield, 4J, Salem area, to the University of Oregon so they can see what higher education looks like, so they can feel and know that they have the opportunity. With this resolution, we are giving them that opportunity. Currently, we have 370 students registered for this. Many of them may be undocumented, and it's something that they have to live with. I urge you to please pass and support the DREAM Act resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ron Burley, followed by Annie Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councilors. My name is Ron Burley. I'm Vice Chair of the City of Eugene Human Rights Commission. And I really perhaps don't have much to add after that impassioned eloquence of the young man before me. But on February 16th, the Human Rights Commission voted to endorse the proposed City Council resolution in support of the DREAM Act. The vote reflected 10 in favor, 2 abstentions. Over 35 constituents attended that February 16th Human Rights Commission meeting. The Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act proposes to allow undocumented students who have lived in the United States for at least 5 years and have graduated high school or received a graduate equivalency diploma to legalize their immigration status, thereby making them eligible for federal financial aid, and to allow states to consider these students as state residents for tuition purposes at state universities. By endorsing this local resolution, the City of Eugene joins other municipalities who have endorsed the DREAM Act, including Portland, Chicago, and Santa Monica. And if Santa Monica can do it, we can certainly do it. The intent of the Eugene resolution is to support local student leaders and organizers in their work on passage of the DREAM Act at state and federal levels, which is currently sitting in committee at the U.S. Congress. It's H.R. 1751. And as a last personal note, we often hear in this city to think globally and to act locally. Well, in this locale, in our city, this is the action we must take. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Annie Nelson, followed by Roscoe Karen.
Hello, my name is Annie Nelson. I am a senior at the University of Oregon, and I am a co-director of the U of O's Multicultural Center, and I'm here with and for the Multicultural Center to ask you to support the DREAM Act. The Multicultural Center and we recognize that the DREAM Act is something that is progress towards making higher education more accessible, that higher education is fundamental to equal opportunity, and the DREAM Act contributes to more social equity. So please support the DREAM Act resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Roscoe Karen, followed by Carmen Urbina.
Mayor Piercy, members of the council, my name is Roscoe Karen. I'm a resident of Eugene. I've been a teacher in this area for around 25 years, and I work with these students. I work with them every day. I teach at a middle school that is 20% Latino. I've been associated with a wonderful program called Ganas for 13 years that links Latino students with wonderful people like Jairo and Annie, from whom you've just heard. There's been a schizophrenic aspect to the Ganas program that, on the one hand, continually presents to these students the dream of going to college. Currently, the students in Ganas have a collective GPA of 3.2. Not one of them lives in a home in which English is spoken. And I can't tell you how many of them, because I don't know, how many of them will never be able to go to the University of Oregon. I was able to go to college because I could get Pell Grants, because I could get NDSL loans, because I could get work study. A number of these students, as things stand, will never be able to do those things, so they will never be able to go to college. It's a travesty, and there's a great wrong that is being done. And there's a great hurt that is being done to individuals and to our community and to our nation. So this is your moment to right a wrong, and I'm going to ask you to be courageous and to do so, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Carmen Urbina, followed by Ken Newbeck.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Carmen Urbina, and I'm here for two purposes. One is to ask City Council to please support the DREAM Act. I am one of those students that their parents came undocumented to this country, and now I'm standing in front of you because, fortunately, my family actually was deported, and then I could come back and get an education, but I would have been one of those students with not the ability to get an education if we had stayed in this country. In the spirit of think globally, act locally, I'm here to speak on behalf of the Community Coalition for the Advancement of Human Rights. And historically, if you would recall, back in 2006, after the city put a goal on race relations and the Human Rights Commission brought to the city the vision and the opportunity for the city of Eugene to become a human rights city, the city council came and charged the Human Rights Commission and a group of community members to go, and this was in 2006, and educate the community and engage community stakeholders in creating the vision of our city of Eugene being a human rights city. With this, we did mental health forums, we did immigration forums, and also we did the International Day of Human Rights. The DREAM Act is a human rights. And with this, we would like for the council members to please endorse. After this happened, we created the Community Coalition for the Advancement of Human Rights, which is formed by over 34 organizations in our community that now, after work that they've done since 2006, are coming together and creating a human rights community summit that's called Bringing Human Rights Home. We would like for the council and Mayor Piercy to please look and support us in funding this summit that's scheduled to be happening in April 10th, 2010. So that's my thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ken Newbeck, followed by Samantha Chirillo.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Ken Newbeck. I live on West Hillside Drive in Eugene. And I also, following up on Carmen's comments, I'm a very strong supporter of the DREAM Act resolution. In another hat that I wear, I'm the Executive Director of Amigos Multicultural Services Center. We work with a lot of youth. We know how important this DREAM Act is to their futures and to their aspirations. And so I passionately ask you to vote positively for that resolution tonight. But I'm here with another hat on. I'm also a member of the Human Rights Commission, and I've been very much involved in the evolution of the idea, the concept, that Eugene should become a human rights city, and that we should look to universal human rights values and principles to guide what goes on within our city, both within city government and in community institutions. And I've also been very much involved as a Human Rights Commissioner in working with community groups, the 34 groups that Carmen mentioned, that have come together sort of spontaneously as an informal network to form the Community Coalition for Advancement of Human Rights. And over the last year, with the Human Rights Commission playing a lead role in response to the work plan, or two work plans actually, that the City Council endorsed, we have done a tremendous amount of outreach and communicating with people across the community around the whole notion that we should be holding a human rights summit and coming together to talk further and more intensely about how we can bring human rights principles and values to bear on what we do here in Eugene. We have certain fundraising needs. We have a lot of in-kind contributions that have already been going on. We've had hundreds of hours of volunteer work donated by people across the community. We had over 60 people, separate individuals, involved in the planning of the Human Rights Summit. And now we come to you for your leadership in providing us with some financial assistance that will help us leverage other financial assistance. And I would like to ask the council and the mayor to approve the amount of $3,500 to support the Human Rights Community Summit, which will be held April 10th as an all-day event and preceded by a April 8th kickoff event. I believe that you have a letter and backup documents that go into more of the details of what the summit is all about, the people that have been invited, the speakers, the panels, and so forth. So I really hope that you will approve this summit. 3 of the workshops, of the 18 workshops going on, are on immigrants and immigrant rights, very much tied into what we're here, many of us are here about tonight with regard to the DREAM Act. So I thank you for your kind consideration.
Thank you. Next is Samantha Chirillo, followed by Paula Walker.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Chirillo. I technically live in Springfield right now, but I work in Eugene in both a paid and volunteer capacity. I'm here tonight as the new economic justice organizer for the Oregon Fair Trade Campaign, which has convened a new and growing alliance of about a dozen Eugene-based groups, including 2 unions. They are presently calling themselves the Lane County Fair Trade Campaign, and earlier this evening unanimously endorsed the resolution in support of the DREAM Act. We urge you to pass it this evening. We pass this resolution because we support the youth of our community that will benefit from it. They are an integral part of our community, just as advocacy for immigrants' rights is a critical component of U.S. trade reform that we and people around the world absolutely need. Lastly, as someone who very much appreciates Cape Perpetua and as co-director of Cascadia's Ecosystem Advocates, I also urge you to vote in favor of the resolution supporting marine reserves. We believe, as the Coast Range Association does, that these reserves are a win-win for us, for future Oregonians, for endangered species, and for fishers who ultimately depend on intact ecosystems. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Paula Walker, followed by Emma Kellaway.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight on the Marine Reserves in support of the Marine Reserves Resolution. My name is Paula Walker. I'm a member of our Oregon Oceans Coalition and a member of Oregon Shores Conservation Coalition. I'm here to applaud that Eugene has formed such a resolution, and to say that the oceans are not just a matter of concern and interest for coastal communities, but for all Oregonians. We all have an invested interest in thriving coastal communities and a healthy ocean. Studies around the world where marine reserves are in place have proven that this is a sound investment economically as well as environmentally. Fishers who have been part of marine reserves efforts have spoken out in favor of the benefits they have received from the marine reserves to their abundance in fishers' hauls, as well as the quality of the catch. and environmental studies have proven the restorative process is a high benefit. I want to highly encourage this council to, as the first inland city to adopt such a resolution, to adopt the resolution and lead the way for other inland cities to speak up and have a voice and encourage this process to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Emma Callaway. Emma, and after her, Alejandro Gomez.
Mayor Katie Piercy and members of City Council, thank you very much for having us here today. My name is Emma Callaway. I'm the student body president at the University of Oregon, and I'm also the board chair for the Oregon Student Association that represents over 100,000 students across the state. The students at the University of Oregon would like you very much to pass the resolution to support the DREAM Act. The students at the U of O have spoken through our own resolutions and letters, and we know that supporting the DREAM Act means supporting students all around the country to gain access to post-secondary education. We support the DREAM Act and we put money back into the economy. We invest every year in hundreds of thousands of dollars in K through 12 education, and 65,000 students are undocumented and thus have the lowest probability of being able to fund their continuing education. When we sever the next steps for tens of thousands of students, we are not only limiting reasonable access to college education, but we are limiting our economy's ability to benefit from a highly educated population. The DREAM Act helps students in the United States gain access to education that they have prepared themselves for. We know that at the University of Oregon, we need a more diverse student population. The DREAM Act would help students who have traditionally been turned away to be able to find a home at an institution like the University of Oregon. Students would benefit from the DREAM Act, but they would still need to get into the University of Oregon like any other student. The least we can do is provide that open door that's been traditionally shut. If passed, we will also bring this resolution to Washington, D.C. when the University of Oregon takes 20 students to lobby our federal representatives over spring break on behalf of the DREAM Act and student aid reform. We need your support to make a very important and very impactful statement. Please sponsor the resolution in support of the DREAM Act. Students at the University of Oregon are behind this movement, and we hope you are as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Alejandro Gomez, followed by Evelyn McConaughey.
Hi, my name is Alejandro Gomez, and I am here to represent Juventud Faceta. Juventud Faceta is a Latino youth group, and we work to benefit the community. I am 16 years old and class of 2011. I believe that everyone has the right to an education, and if we're looking for a better country with less ignorance, one of the worst things that can be done is to deny a group of people the ability to be successful. As part of the undocumented youth in this country, I'm tired of being told that I can't do it. And this is why I'm here to say that I'm not just another girl. I'm a young Latina trying to accomplish what my parents couldn't do, just like many other Latinos. I moved here with the dream of a better future, and this is a dream that has not become the DREAM Act. Today I ask the City Council for your support in the DREAM Act. Si se puede.
Evelyn McConaughey is next, followed by Gary Bra.
I'm Evelyn McConaughey, a resident of Eugene, and thank you, City Council and Mayor Piercy, for considering the resolution on endorsing the ocean marine reserves. It's a system of 6 marine reserves that has been advocated by the governor and by Oregon Shores Conservation Coalition and a number of other organizations, OPAC and Oregon Fish and Wildlife. Oregon needs its pure and healthy waters, and the system of marine reserves would help establish that. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary Broth is next, followed by Phyllis Hockley.
Thank
Gary Ross from Alder Street, Eugene, and I'll make this quick because there's a lot of people to talk, but I've worked in the natural resources field for 30 years now, and I support the marine reserves, and I appreciate your support for that too very much. Can't put enough emphasis on the importance of the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you. Last person up tonight, Phyllis Hockley.
Mayor Piercy and councilors, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to express our desires. I'm Phyllis Hockley. I'm living in Eugene on Adams, and I'm the co-president of Churchwomen United of Lane County. And I'm here representing our board, which requests that the City Council pass a resolution in support of the DREAM Act. Churchwomen United is racially, culturally, and theologically inclusive. We celebrate unity and diversity, and we work for a world of peace and justice. And we feel that you supporting this DREAM Act will be an act of justice. And the opportunities that you will be giving these youth are possibilities that they really, really deserve, and it will make Eugene a better place to live. So thus we express our desires. Please pass the resolution in support of the DREAM Act. Thank you.
Thank you. No clapping, please. Okay, I'm going to close the public forum and ask for comments from City Council. And I guess I'll just make a comment and just say thank you very, very much for coming tonight. We appreciate seeing each and every one of you out here. Two important topics that really affect the lives of people in really fundamental ways. An opportunity for us to speak as a community on two very important issues for the well-being of our planet and for the future of our children. So just thank you so much for being here. And I wanted to let you know that the next item on our agenda is a consent calendar, and so that is, these both items are listed on the consent calendar, so we vote on the consent calendar, we're voting on these items, just so you know. All right. Councilor Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate everybody's ability to come out and speak to us tonight. Both of these issues, I appreciate people coming forward. I just want to speak to the DREAM Act. I really am glad to see the allies of our community coming out and supporting us, and I appreciate the folks that were here to speak on the Marine Reserve also supporting this comment. This is really an important education issue in my mind. It's an equalization act. I've been on a school board, as Chris was, for many years, and it would be, the comment that somebody used was the word schizophrenic, and I probably wouldn't use that one, but that's kind of how it felt when we would be telling our students, you have to do good in school, you have to stay in school, you got to graduate, to offer them jobs that would not support them in their lives. And so I am hoping that that our people in Washington, D.C. will actually hear us and actually do something about this. I support comprehensive immigration reform. I think that the system is broken, and I really hope that that at some point in my lifetime that this comes to pass, and I'll be more than happy to support both the resolutions.
Councilor Zelenka.
Very impressive showing here tonight. It clearly makes a difference to take a stand and stand up, be counted for what you believe in, and I applaud each and every one of you tonight for doing that by standing up and being counted for education and the environment. We often put items on the consent calendar that are what I call no-brainers, things that are easy to support, and both of these resolutions are no-brainers for me. They are the right thing to do for many reasons, and I intend to support both. It was my honor to put forth the Marine Reserve Act resolution, and I want to thank Councilor Ortiz for putting forth the DREAM Act resolution. I've in the past pulled things from the consent calendar because I think they're important to recognize and to celebrate, but I think you all have done that in spades, so I don't think there'll be any need to do that this evening, at least from my perspective.
Councilor Pryor.
Thank you. Like
Councilor Ortiz, I got on the school board many years ago because I believe in the power of education and how education can be one of the most powerful instruments that any society can use to make itself stronger. And to deny an education to anyone not only weakens them, but actually weakens the fabric of culture. And so I think this kind of an act not only has that kind of a human benefit, but it also has an economic benefit. Because an educated population is a population that can not only benefit itself, but can also create economic well-being and power. And so you would not want any segment of your population to not have that ability. Weakening your people weakens yourself. So I think it's a great thing to do, and I'm glad to support it and both the measures on here. Thank you for coming tonight. It was great. And also, I wanted to ask the city manager, we had the proposal with regard to the Human Rights Summit, the proposal for providing some financing. Would it be possible on Wednesday to bring some options for how we might be able to fund that?
Sure can. My recommendation would be out of the council contingency, which there's money available in there if you choose to do that. So I would be happy to bring back some options. That would be my recommendation at this point.
Okay, and if with the council's willingness, maybe we could discuss that on Wednesday, and perhaps, if it's possible to do, pass something?
Thank you. Bet. If the council's will, we can do that.
Thank you.
Councilor Brown?
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming down. It's really great to see this hall filled up with great people. It's really a good feeling. And it's also a very rare pleasure that I'll have to support two really terrific resolutions in the same night. It's the right thing to do in both cases. It's like I don't even have to think about it. I was stunned that we didn't have any protection that we didn't have any marine reserves. But when I found that out, we have such a great coastline. It's one of the glories of Oregon. I mean, people come here just to see our coast. There's coastal access like doesn't exist in any other state. Except Hawaii and Oregon. The whole coastline belongs to us. We can go anywhere. We can't be blocked off by any, private development. We can see our whole coast. And to know that the offshore was not protected I was just stunned. So that's a very easy one to support. And correcting the other situation of the immigrant and the newcomer and the one that's working hard, the one that wants to continue their education. It's just, how could you not support that? I mean, it's very easy to do. So it's really great to be able to support two great resolutions like this. Thanks a lot.
Councilor Solomon?
Thank you. I, too, wanted to thank everyone for coming down this evening, and appreciate you sharing your important views with us on these two important acts. I did want to specifically respond, though, to Kimberly Gladden's idea about the, I've already forgotten the name of it, for pretrial diversion, and she gave you some information on that. Is there any way that somebody could do an analysis of that and let us know how it could be implemented in our community and in what kind of configuration?
We will take a look at that and get back with council on some information.
Great, thanks.
Councilor Taylor?
Thank you. Thanks to everyone who came, and I'll be happy to support both the resolutions you talked about. I just wanted to mention it's especially good to see Eve McConaughey here again. She and her husband Bayard used to speak to us all the time on important issues, always intelligent and well-informed, and thanks for coming, Eve. Formerly Evelyn.
Councilor Foley?
Well, I would just like to say that the motion that I put out at the start of the meeting did not intend to minimize anybody's opinions. What I was looking at was trying to move the meeting on, get some important items taken care of. The impressive thing is what was said. Just to let you know, you didn't change my mind by what you said. I was supportive of both of these resolutions to start off with. I'm just impressed with the way you said it, everybody that came out to speak. So hopefully we won't spend any more time on the consent calendar, and we'll move right along, because, like I said, we do have some real other important issues that we do need to take care of. Thank you.
George. Councilor Clark?
I would like to say thank you to everybody who came to speak. The passion in the room is obvious,
and I can say that you being here mattered to me. Thank you.
All right, so we are through with this part, and now we're going to go to the consent calendar. So, Council President.
I move we pass the items on the consent calendar.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I'm deleting. No one's in the queue. All right, please vote. 8 in favor and none in opposition. So we are going to look forward to people carrying the Marine Reserve resolution forward, and we are certainly going to look forward to Emma and all of those students carrying this to D.C., a voice from Eugene, Oregon, saying this really matters to us. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for being here. All right. Action item number 3. Big transition here. I know. All right, Council President.
Are you sure you don't want to have the manager say something about this first?
You want to say something, City Manager? Do you want to say something first about, no? Okay. Guys, everybody in the room, I know that your business is done, but we still have more to go, so shh, please. Thank you. All right, let's put the motion on the table.
I can't hear you do that well. Okay.
Who can't you hear? Me?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Okay. I will lean into the mic. All right. Please put the motion on the table.
I move to adopt Council Bill... Sorry, I can't yell. My voice is a little bit too harsh.
Just say it in your regular voice. We'll be fine.
Can you use your gavel?
You want me to... Can you guys please move it on out?
Or at least keep it quiet.
Good, yep. Thank you. All right. Go ahead.
I move to adopt Council Bill 5023 to redesignate and rezone South Willamette properties for general office use by amending the Eugene-Springfield Metropolitan Area General Plan diagram, amending the South Willamette Sub-area plan, diagram and text, and amending the Eugene zoning map.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We've had a lot of discussion on this. I don't see any questions in the queue. I think you're ready to vote on this. 8 in favor and none in opposition. It passes. We're on to the next item. Again, all of these items have been before council before and had hearings. So I'm going to put action item number 4 on the...
I move to adopt Council Bill 5024 to redesignate a portion of Lane Memorial Gardens for low-density residential use by amending the Eugene-Springfield Metropolitan Area General Plan diagram and amending the Willow Creek Special Area Study diagram.
Moved and seconded. Okay, questions, comments? City Manager? No? All right, please vote. 8 in favor and none in opposition. It passes. Item number 5, Council President.
Move to adopt Council Bill 5025 concerning access connection location requirements, special setbacks, and street width.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments, questions? City Manager?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have something, Jen? Councilor Solomon?
Together, thank you. The maps that we had requested for the last meeting, they were really helpful. I just wanted to make sure that this includes the proposed amendment from, I believe, the principal at JRH Consulting. Was that the correspondence we talked about at the last meeting?
That's correct. What we... Do you want to go ahead? It's in there, but it's in the next ordinance that we're about to talk about. Right.
Not this
It's
one.
the Chapter 7
The next
ordinance.
one.
No,
Oh,
items that-
okay.
So the answer would be yes, for your next
yes,
one.
but in your next one, yeah.
Okay.
They agree with us, they just checked.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, so I think we're ready to vote on number 5. Would you please? Yeah. I don't think this is quite as much fun as they're having out there. please vote.
Oh,
There, 8 in favor, none in opposition, it passes. So now we're on to item 6, which was your question, right, Counselor Solomon?
Yeah.
Did you get it?
yeah.
Go ahead, and then
I'll jump on in.
You want to put it on the table first? Put it-
I move to adopt Council Bill 5026 concerning the access connection design and construction requirements.
Second.
Moved and seconded, okay. And then we're ready to,
If you look at attachment B, we specifically set out there that what the change was, attachment B to the ordinance, but to your question, it was because there were head nods, we didn't include a specific motion on that change, we just integrated it right on into the ordinance. So that proposed, that requested change is in there, and it'll be a part of what you adopt tonight. You don't need to do anything separate.
do you need to?
Okay, I'm good. Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, I think we're ready to vote. 8 in favor and none in opposition, it passes. And that ends the business of this.
What was this for?
Oh, I don't know.
This was sitting on our place, legislative findings to ordinance number...
Those are the findings.
Yes, we sent out an email on Friday. Somehow they had been lost in the printing process. So we wanted to make sure that was in front of you tonight. What we did is we emailed them, but we also had a paper copy here tonight.
Doing it Wednesday?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, all right. So we'll do it Wednesday. Do you have the language handy for the PAPE?
No, we were going to bring it on Wednesday.
Wednesday? All right, we'll do it Wednesday. All right.
And how about the, it's a good idea, Ed Ragazzino part of the whole sentence?
All right. Thank you, everybody.